Okay. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وذكر فإن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. صدق الله العظيم وصدق مولانا النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك ومن الشاهدين ومن الشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. It is a great blessing and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has blessed us to come to the masjid today on Jum'ah and to populate his house and to come sit in the company of our brothers. Today we're having a discussion for our Jum'ah tazkir or our Jum'ah bayan. Instead of the regular talk which we have a very special guest with us today. His name is Dr. Azeem Elahi. He is a doctor who actually has served in the past and went to many different countries and served and helped out those populations which need our help the most. And alhamdulillah, he has just come back from serving in Gaza and providing his services over there in whatever capacity he could. And inshallah, I'd like to welcome him up here. He is one of our local doctors from the Charlotte area. Alhamdulillah, he's been in the area for a few years now. So if he wants to tell us a little bit about himself, and then inshallah we'll get started. We can just go with this one.
My name is Azeem Elahi. Background, I'm actually born in Canada to Pakistani parents. I moved to the United States mainly for my medical training. We've been here in the Charlotte area since 2017.
Okay.
So it's been some time now. I practice pulmonary and critical care here in the region. So my background has been, I guess, for the last 8 years, trying to serve in areas where populations have been displaced, oftentimes as a result of war or conflict. So I've been participating in numerous medical mission trips to various parts of the world, just to provide medical assistance. Through that medical assistance, we're able to provide medical aid through these organizations. And that's how it came to be that I was able to provide service in Gaza.
Okay, so you can just hold on. You're okay with that, or you want me
Yes,
to do this one?
perfect.
Okay, that one's a little bit louder, so I want the people to be able to hear you more than
Sure.
myself. So, alhamdulillah, we're blessed to have this brother in our company. He just came back from Gaza. We have some questions that we wanted to ask him, but at the same time, once we're done, if anybody has any questions, we'll take 1 or 2 questions that if anybody wants to ask, and then we'll proceed with the Jummah as normal, the time for Sunnah and the Khutbah and everything. So, the first question I wanted to ask our dear brother Azeem, who just came back 2 weeks ago, what was your first reaction upon reaching Gaza? Once you cross the border, you get into Rafah. What is your reaction? What do you see?
I'll say the journey is pretty difficult. It's a long journey. We left Cairo early in the morning, Fajr time. It's only about 400 kilometers, 250 miles, but a normal 5-hour drive ends up taking about 10 hours with the checkpoints, with the stops. We're carrying a lot of supplied luggage. And so a lot of that stuff has to get checked out at these stops. So they're checking our documents, checking our approvals. By the time we arrive at the now destroyed sort of Yasser Arafat airport, you collect your baggage and then you exit the terminal. That feeling it's very hard to describe. Because of the journey, it is a very satisfying and triumphant feeling. Subhanallah, it's indescribable, that feeling, because in that same moment, you also realize all of those obstacles that were in your way to get to this point are now overcome. And inshallah, you're there now, and you're hopefully able to provide some assistance to the people in Gaza. I'm going to describe the scene a little bit. As you walk out, you immediately hear drones. So it's a very odd sound for us as Americans to hear it. It's a constant buzzing sound that people in Gaza are so accustomed to now. So you hear that immediately, but it quickly fades out, and it fades out because as you look across, you have a welcoming party, you have your fellow travelers with you, and oftentimes it's the huge medical convoy that's with you, and everyone is smiling, everyone is happy. There's such a feeling of joy there that you can't help but zone out any negativity, and that truly is all you really hear is the drone. You zone it out and you're there, and you're basking in that moment. Some of the imagery you guys have seen more recently is the "I Love Gaza" sign at the Rafah checkpoint. Um, that's on the Gaza side of the Rafah crossing. And I can assure you, every single medical relief team that has crossed into Gaza has taken a photo by that sign. It's such a vibrant, bright red sign. It symbolizes love, symbolizes everything that's great about Palestine and about Gaza. And that's why the occupation forces destroyed it, as a symbolic gesture. But when you're there, you can only focus on the positive, and that was a huge moment of accomplishment, a huge moment of triumph. I think that's why every one of these medical teams, when they get there, they see it, they get drawn to it, and they take a photo by it.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So yeah, I know. I think we've all seen the videos of the sign being destroyed now.
Yeah.
So that sort of imagery of what you saw and what's in your mind is now that's all that's there for most people.
Now, to kind of expand on that, I think really what you're getting at is what then do you see after that that joyous moment? What do you see? So we arrived after Maghrib. It was night. So you drive from there, and we drove straight to the European Gaza Hospital campgrounds. And on the campus there, en route, you're driving through Rafah. So European Gaza is at the southern tip of Khan Yunis. It's right, pretty much bordering between Rafah and Khan Yunis. And so as you drive by, because it's dark, you don't see it quite so apparently, but it is, as far as the eyes can see, tent after tent after tent. And those are the conditions you see. You hear sporadic bomb blasts. It's a common sound that we grew accustomed to. Those sounds intensify at night. So our aim
How long
was,
were you there?
we were there 10 days.
10 days. Okay.
Yeah. So the aim is to not travel after sunset. So our aim was to just get to the campus as quickly as we could.
Okay, subhanallah. And then now you've visited other camps and other disaster areas. How was this different?
Oh, Asad by completely different.
For those of us who've never seen anything like this.
I think so. I can compare Bangladesh, Syrian border, Africa, in Sierra Leone, even Puerto Rico after the hurricane devastation. There are still systems in place to be able to function, open a clinic, set up a pharmacy. There's still order, there's still roads, there's still logistical support to be able to function in those settings. In those such settings, it's mainly populations that are dispersed. They're displaced because of the conflict. Here, Gaza has been under constant bombardment for decades, as you all know. The embargo has imposed significant restrictions on what goes in, what goes out. And so, in the current circumstances, we have 2 million people that used to be spread between predominantly central Gaza, but northern Gaza and southern Gaza, now all concentrated into the bottom half, into central and Rafah, essentially. Yeah. In Deir al-Balah, there's Aqsa Hospital. There's a concentrated population there. In the bottom tip of Khan Yunis, around European Gaza Hospital, they estimate about 30,000 displaced civilians around the hospital campus site. And then, like you hear in the news reports, there's about 1.5 million displaced persons, all concentrated in the Rafah camps. providing aid in those situations are very difficult when you're under threat for bombardment, when your medical staff is the skeleton staff. They're um, slowly fatigued, they're perpetually fatigued, and your staffing numbers are just slowly diminishing.
um, so when you met the people, obviously you talked about when you entered. Now you're serving, you're providing medical treatment, whatever you're trying to do. You did you perform any surgeries or anything like that while you were there?
The team did. I'm not a surgeon,
Okay.
so we had a vascular surgeon.
Okay.
There is such a huge need for surgeries there. When you imagine a bomb, there are numerous injuries that can occur as a consequence of a bomb. If it's a building, the injuries include direct concussive force to the body. When it's a building, there's damage from debris that can land on a person. There's shrapnel damage that can occur to the body because of the actual shrapnel from the blast itself. There are numerous type of injuries that occur, propelling forces that cause children and mothers and fathers and grandparents to leap into the air and cause injury to their bones, broken arms, scalp lacerations, body lacerations, internal organ damage. So the surgeries were plenty. They're staffed with 4 neurosurgeons at European Gaza Hospital. SubhanAllah, they adapt because most hospitals here don't have 4 neurosurgeons, but they realize when you have these blast injuries, there's so many intracranial diseases, traumas, I should say, epidural hematomas, which are blood collections around the skull, blast injuries that cause deformities, subdural blood that occurs within the brain. All of these require emergent neurosurgical intervention.
And these are just a few. You're just talking from
Just
a
a
very small
handful.
perspective.
This is very handful. Then, if you round around through the hospital, you will see God knows how many amputations, how many wounds. Um, it's subhanallah. It's beyond description. The sheer volume of trauma that you see that requires some type of operative intervention. And so our team was composed of an anesthesiologist, a surgeon, an emergency medicine physician, and then myself, critical care. So after their surgeries, those patients end up in the intensive care unit and they need very close monitoring.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. So, mashallah, I don't want to say too much about Dr. Azeem, what he does, his volunteering and stuff like that. But himself and his wife and his children, wherever they can locally, they always try to volunteer. When I work for Helping Hand, so they come and they volunteer at our, at our clothing drives and stuff like that. They go to different places locally and they volunteer. And so this is just one of the things which he has done, going overseas and volunteering. One of the many things him and his family do. His wife is also a pediatrician. She helps out people. They reach out to her. She helps them out from the community. So we should make immense amounts of dua for all of their service. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of the service which they do. So on a little bit of a brighter note, the picture which we shared on the flyer was a picture of him with the children. So as you met people, now once you've passed the border in this area, you're meeting all these people. What was the reaction of the people upon seeing you guys? How happy were they?
Again, indescribable. They are so appreciative of any sort of foreign team coming to their aid. They express it in their eyes. They express it in the embraces. You feel very close to them immediately. That emotion, when you see the children, they will run to you immediately. Obviously we're a new face in that moment in time, but they see hope. I think they see somebody interacting with them, and they desire interaction. You've taken them out of their schooling. You've taken them out of their, normal routines. They Half of their family has disappeared. They're martyred, and they crave that interaction. So when we walked out every morning from where our accommodations were, and we'd walk that short walk, 5 minutes to the hospital, we were just surrounded by children. They were smiling, they were laughing, they were saying whatever words of English they could speak, just to connect with us. And it really made that time so much more special because we could see how much of an impact we were making, just even in the simple pleasures, bringing a smile to a child's face. The healthcare team there, they couldn't say enough how appreciative they were. I would explain to them how every amount of supply that we were able to bring came from donations that the Charlotte community contributed to so immensely. I didn't share the details of when I was leaving for a very long period. I think I shared it 12 days before I left for my own reasons. I wanted to steer narrow focus. I didn't want to hear any criticisms. I didn't want to hear any concerns.
Yeah.
As much as you need to, I had already reconciled all those. So I was laser focused on what was ahead. And so I shared that 12 days. And within those 12 days, we raised over $100,000. And subhanAllah, to me, I think that was predominantly from our local Charlotte community. So I thought that was incredible. And I felt so obliged to share that with everyone that I met there, that when we were contributing, giving supplies or financial contributions, I shared with them that this was truly on behalf of the Charlotte and the greater Charlotte area.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. So now I know you guys went. Your team was all of you guys were Muslim, right?
Yeah.
Now there's obviously still medical personnel going, which is also non-Muslim. That there's medical doctors, nurses, people who are going, and even now they're giving interviews on international media that they're non-Muslim. So Muslim or non-Muslim going there, at any point in time, and you said obviously you guys didn't travel at night, but still, do teams feel danger over the medical teams?
That's a great question. I will say there's two answers to that.
Yeah.
One, the more core answer is I didn't feel in danger,
Alhamdulillah.
mainly because I felt protected. Every obstacle that was put in my way to get there was cleared.
Okay.
Who cleared that?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if that path was cleared,
Yeah.
I felt protected.
Subhanallah.
So somehow, that feeling pushed me into a bubble.
Subhanallah.
Now, I can't help but also admit there were moments where you felt vulnerable. Yeah. Eid had just passed. My entire planning preparation was, okay, the bombardments had decreased during Ramadan. The hospital census had actually decreased as a result of that. And so now Eid had passed. So will the Rafah invasion now intensify? Will it expose Israel's forces now into Rafah? So that was in the back of my mind. And hearing bomb blasts, I'll be honest, I've never gone anywhere in the world where you hear bomb blasts. That was a first for me. So the first few times I heard it, yeah, I shuddered, and we all did. I mean, it's a bizarre feeling. You hear this penetrating sound, and the force is so strong that it shakes your room. This is not half a kilometer away. This is still probably 10, 15 kilometers away. That's how strong these bombs that are being sent from our country with our tax dollars, that's how intense these bombs are, that even if they're Rafah, where the camps are about 20 kilometers away from us, we knew the first 2 days there, 30 minutes later, we'd get trauma patients coming in. So that 20-kilometer commute is about a 30 minutes in the ambulance. And so there were times where there was some fear, but I think overwhelmingly, I felt protected. Lubna, the kids, my family, they were scared every single minute. So, I hate to minimize it because they truly did live in constant fear while I was gone. Luckily, I didn't need to see it directly, but I could see it when I'd see a video of them or when we were able to make some initial short communication. I could see it in their eyes or even in their smile.
Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Okay, so my final question. This is a question of importance. There's an event happening this Sunday. We have the flyers outside as well. This is a for Imana. It's Aid for Gaza fundraising dinner. So inshallah, if you can find the flyer out, intention to come and learn about the work that Dr. Azeem and other doctors are doing. But my final question is that this event is taking place on Sunday. There's many relief organizations which are working, like Helping Hand, Islamic Relief, Baitul Mal, so on and so forth. But Imana is solely focused on the medical side of things. And I think you went Imana and Palestine Heal, they had sort of like a collaboration, I guess. And so how important is it? And you obviously saw the aid, you were there. How important is this relief aid, obviously the food packages and stuff, and how important is the medical aid, since you saw it being dispersed, used and stuff? How important is it for us to continue to support these?
I would say, if this were last week, I'd say immensely important, because truly the only way we were able to get aid into Gaza was by carrying our duffels, walking them, or carrying, on the carts through the Rafah crossing. They're not coming through Karam Shalom. They're being held up there. So we carried 42 duffels of supplies. Those went through Rafah crossing without intervention on the Israeli side. These aid organizations, I would encourage you to support any of them that you have firsthand knowledge of, where you know somebody that's worked with them. I've seen Med Global there. I've seen Fajr Scientific there. I've seen Rahma Worldwide there. I've seen Palestinian American Medical Association there. I've seen Heal Palestine there. I've seen Huna Refugee Relief. I've seen firsthand several agencies that are working there that I would contribute any amount of my money to them, because I know firsthand that they're on the ground and they're providing aid. Imana specifically, I've worked with them for numerous years. I've gone on several trips with them. They have such a low overhead. The contributions you provide them, nearly 99% goes straight to the people interested, invested, and in need of it. That's why truly I think this event on Sunday is so important. I'll share my journey from start to end. I'll share some of the impacts we were able to make, some of the stories of the patients involved or the people involved. Sometimes it's the healthcare workers. And I think you'll definitely benefit from attending. I'd encourage you all to.
And inshallah, we'll take, if there's two questions, we'll take two questions. Any brothers have any questions, you can, Dr. Saab, go ahead.
So if anyone wants to donate now, does ISGC has any plans they can donate to Imana?
So if they want to donate to Imana, they can go directly to the website. I think that's the best option. Rather than
there's
going
a Gaza link on the imana.org website.
Imana.org. That would be the best option, instead of going through multiple exchanges. Going directly to the website is the best option. Any other brother who has a question, you're more than welcome to ask. You can put your hand up and ask, and we can ask the question.
How do you spell the website?
Oh, how do you spell it? IMANA.org. We'll take one more question. That was an easy one. So is there any brother, young brother, old brother, doesn't matter of the age, you can ask a question, and then we'll close up. Go ahead.
So,
we'll let you ask another one.
Other than, I know, surgery side, they have high demand. Any other primary care, do they have need for it, or right now is probably may not need?
I will be depressingly honest with you. The chronic medical diseases, they are triaged, and they get triaged to the bottom. Taking a daily lisinopril, taking a daily metformin almost seems trivial when you're living day to day. Nourishment is important. They just announced Najjar Hospital was evacuated. That was the sole hospital providing dialysis support to patients. So if there's any brothers or sisters here that know somebody who is on dialysis, imagine in the entire Gaza Strip, there is no longer any dialysis support. It's devastating, not just for the patient, for the family, for the people taking care of dialysis patients. It's pure devastation. So unfortunately, the chronic medical diseases, especially now with Rafah crossing closing, I think I would have been a little more optimistic if you asked me that 72 hours ago, because I would have said, yes, every time a team's going through, every Monday, Wednesday, teams are going in and they're switching out. More and more medications are going in. We brought in a boatload of chronic medications along with the antibiotics and the anesthesia and things like that. But it's just hard now to set up or even triage chronic clinics to take care of these patients. I think their main interest now is surviving. Yeah, it's so dire right now. I hate ending on that note, but you kind of hear the news media reports, and they focus on the bombardment, and they focus on aid workers, but truly the people there, they are suffering. They are suffering. And I don't feel bad sharing that directly, because anyone that has family or friends that live there knows that that's true. They are living under miserable situations. They're living in miserable conditions. These tents are no dignified way to live. And we need to do whatever we can as the Muslim Ummah, as the Charlotte Ummah. We need to do whatever we can to help anyone, not just in Gaza, in Somalia, in Bangladesh, in, anywhere there are Muslims in need, we need to do our best to help them. Anywhere there are humans in need, we have to do our best to help them. It doesn't matter what their race is, their creed, color of their skin. If there are people suffering as Muslims, we have to do whatever we can to help.
Jazakallah khair. So this Sunday there's a program. It's called Aid Gaza. There's some flyers outside. You can scan the QR code, register if there's some spaces left. We really want to appreciate Dr. Azeem for his time, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept the mission he went for. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all the service he provided, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to give him and his family the opportunity to serve the greater ummah. Jazakallah khair.
Appreciate you, bro.
You have this, I might as well keep talking. So inshallah, everybody can pray the sunnah, and then inshallah we'll get the khutbah started. We'll keep the khutbah short since we went a little bit longer, so everybody can hear the discussion. Jazakallah khair. Yes. Yeah, I'll move it. Just a minute. Okay.